Hello and welcome to the online film appreciation class. My name is Trevor Younger. I am the professor for this semester. This video is a brief overview of what the class entails, as well as running over the entirety of the course syllabus. So I'm going to jump into swick.brightspace.com and then our class here. Hopefully you're familiar with Brightspace already. We're going to open up our film appreciation class. This is Film 115 IN1. Okay, your version of Brightspace will probably look a little bit different than mine since I'm on the instructor version. You might see one of these lessons available to you, but you won't see all of our lessons since those things are hidden at this point. But where I would like to direct you initially is under content. In this class, you'll find all of your videos week to week right here, as well as your syllabus. So a lot of students have talked to me about how they can't quite find the syllabus, and it is a little bit tricky on Brightspace if you're not super familiar with it. Under content, you have to click this overview button, and that's where the syllabus generally is. Okay, so we're going to go over this thing in detail, and if that's a little boring for you, consider this one thing. We are on YouTube, where you can turn the speed up to 2 times speed if you want to get through it just a little bit faster. We are in Film 115. That's the online section. Hopefully you signed up for the one that's online and that was your intent. Important policies and information. You can find college policies and information at this URL here and student references at this URL here. So if you need help with any of the like student handbook stuff, those URLs are helpful to you. Again, my name is Trevor Younger. It is spelled a little bit weird, and if you need reference for how to spell it for your final paper, you can check that out on the syllabus here and just copy and paste it. So class time and room number, it's a little bit different if you haven't had an online class before. There is no set time for you to do this stuff. I will publish new information every Monday. When on Monday depends on a few things, but if you come back on a Tuesday, you can be pretty assured that that new information will be published by then. Now, all of your assignments are also due on Monday. I make those things due on Monday at midnight. So if you are the type of student that procrastinates until the last minute, you can finish your stuff on Monday, but just make sure you get it submitted before midnight for full credit. Okay, so semester hour units, this is a full class and it's worth 3 credit hours. Start and end dates, we start Monday, August the 18th. I'm recording this on the 15th now, but this will be published on the 18th. And then the end date is scheduled for Thursday, December the 11th, which is a little bit odd. So that really won't be our end date. You'll lose access to things on December the 11th, but instead it'll be the Monday preceding that Thursday, December 11th date. I'll give you reminders throughout the semester when things are coming up through announcements, as well as when we're close to the end date. Last date to withdraw is November the 3rd, 2025. So if you want to get a W grade for this class, you need to actually withdraw. I can't just withdraw you from the class. Instead, that's something that you do on your end. So if you feel like the class isn't going well for you and you don't want to get an F in the class, you just want to get out of the class, you can withdraw from the class without anything other than a W on your transcript. Certainly looks better than an F, but you would need to reach out to your advisor for that. So preferably a few days before November the 3rd, you can reach out to them and say, hey, the class isn't working out for me. I would like to withdraw, and then they'll set you up for that. So the class location, there's no physical location for the class. All you need is the internet to access the videos, and hopefully you all can watch YouTube videos. All of our content's coming that way, other than the actual films that you watch on your own. Office phone, this will not reach me. Likewise, this is Swick's phone number here, and that will not reach me either. Instead, email is the best thing for you, and that is trevor.younger@swick.edu. If you don't have that in your address book work yet, you may want to add it. That is going to be the most efficient way to reach me. Now, you will be able to chat with me in the course discussions, but I may not get back to you in a super timely way. So if you have a question that's kind of pertinent, you reach out to me via that swick.edu email address, and I'm pretty quick to get back to you. It usually takes maybe 24 hours, but if you haven't heard from me in about 2 days, chances are that that got caught up in my spam filter for some reason. Another thing that you should probably do with that email is identify which class you're in. So I have 3 film appreciation classes this semester. So if you start talking to me about film appreciation, I might think you're in a different section. So just say, I'm in your online film appreciation class, and then I'll get the idea pretty quickly. So course description, what this class is an introduction to film study with an emphasis on how movie making techniques like cinematography, editing, set design, and sound are used for artistic and dramatic effect. In addition to watching and discussing films of different genres and time periods, students will learn about different critical approaches to film and how historical, political, and cultural contexts shape films. So you probably read that in the course description when you were signing up for the class, but just as a reminder, that's basically what the class is. How I structure the class is we look at production elements, so that's that cinematography, editing, set design, etc. And we just kind of move through those things with good examples from notable films along the way. There is one slight exception there, and that is the very beginning. We actually start with documentary films, which isn't really a production element, but it is important for our understanding of what film is. So reading a little bit further here, there is prereqs. You need to be eligible for English 101. I do expect a certain level of writing ability, that you can form complete sentences, you can write in paragraph form, that you can organize your ideas. All of those things are pretty important, even though most of our writing is sort of informal. What we'll have are these blogs that we do writing in every other week, as well as discussion posts that are 1 paragraph long. But finally, we culminate with a final paper that is a formal MLA research paper. And that one's a little tougher. So if you feel at all insecure about your writing abilities, we should be able to get you to the point of writing a research paper by the end. Now, there are great resources out there for you too, including the Success Center and the Online Writing Lab. I'll have more information about that stuff as the course goes along. The course objectives, by the end of the semester, you should be able to do all of these things. Identify the 3 stages of the filmmaking process and explain what happens in each stage. Explain the roles which producers, directors, cinematographers, production designers, actors, screenwriters, and other professionals perform in the process of film production. Identify by name specific techniques of cinematography, editing, and sound design, and analyze their artistic purpose in different films. Identify the elements of a film's narrative structure, plot, conflict, character arc, backstory, etc., and analyze their artistic purpose in different films. Identify by name the directors of the films studied in class and the defining characteristics of their work. And finally, critically and intelligently analyze films orally and in writing. Yeah, there is one thing that I didn't mention, that we do have a final presentation. So there is a little bit of a oral component to the class. Moving forward, discipline program outcomes. The assessment of student learning is an integral part of the educational experience at SWIC. Assessment of student learning improves student success. The following are the overarching outcomes for the respective discipline/program. So basically, these next 2 sections are these big overarching themes about what the college wants you to get out of the class. The department wants you to be able to do this stuff, and the college wants you to get this stuff. So critical thinking and writing, you'll certainly get those things, as well as oral communications, computer literacy, and potentially, I don't know, personal accountability, but those things aren't check marked. You'll still probably get them in the class. Textbooks. So there are no textbooks for the course. It's been a very long time since anyone's accidentally bought a textbook for the class, but if you have, that's something that you probably want to return and get your money back for. There is some element of reading in the class, but those things will all be online readings and videos from me rather than a textbook that you have to read each week. Grading procedure. So students in Film 150 will create a film analysis blog. Students will be responsible for weekly entries. Most of these are bi-weekly entries, so every other week that you actually have to write in your blog, relating to course discussions and films screened. Each entry must be 2 pages, double-spaced, not including any photos or multimedia that may be included, and various assignments and discussions will be given throughout the term. Now, this 2 pages double-spaced without photo or multimedia, I think that that's the easiest way to put it in very clear terms. The minimum requirement for each blog post that you create. You may want to use different font sizes and font styles and all that fun stuff. So what I would recommend is you create your blog post with 5 fully formed paragraphs. So that's usually an introduction, a conclusion, and 3 body paragraphs. And each of these paragraphs should be at minimum 4 full sentences long. Now, I have seen people do 5 paragraphs with 4 sentences, but these sentences are incredibly short and don't really provide much to an argument. So even if you do have 5 paragraphs and each of them has 4 sentences, I still might not think that these things are really fully formed, right? You need to have an idea and convey that idea with analysis. That's the big thing. So if you have the question of what a blog is, I'm going to do an extra video that shows you how to sign up for a blog. But basically, it's a website that exists for the purposes of publishing some kind of writing. So you make this website, you publish your writing, and then I will visit your websites every week or every other week to grade that writing. So I feel like the blogs are a little bit more convenient than hopping into Brightspace so consistently. But if you have any kind of issue with your writing being published publicly, that's what a blog is really. You can reach out to me via email and we can work something else out too. If you want to email me individual documents, I'm okay with that, so long as you get permission before you just start bombarding me with individual documents. So how do your grades break down? This is how it breaks down in terms of percentage. Your blog posts account for 50% of your overall grade. So quick math here is if you don't do any of your blog posts, you cannot pass the class. So after that, discussion and participation, we will have online discussions about the films, and that ends up being worth about 25% of your final grade. Your final paper is worth 15% of your final grade. That's that formal MLA research paper. And then a final presentation on the same topic as your final paper is worth 10% of your overall grade. So if you're really worried about that final paper, it really doesn't account for a huge portion of your grade, a fair amount of your grade, but not a huge portion. And you can make up for a fair amount of that with a decent presentation too. So just make sure that you do it in its entirety and you should be relatively good in the class. All right, so tentative course schedule. We're going to cover all these things, but maybe not in this exact order. Documentary films, cinematography, editing, special effects, production design, performance, genre films, and world cinema. So here we have this little section about academic rigor. Basically, what this says is that this class will transfer to other universities in Illinois. Student counseling and wellness. If you're having any trouble and you need some kind of counseling, SWIC students have access to confidential counseling provided by a licensed professional. There are 2 options here. You can email here or you can use the website here. So here's the attendance policy, and this is sort of a carbon copy of what is in my non-internet film appreciation classes. I don't expect anyone to have any kind of unexcused absence for a long period of time. Considering this is an online course and you can access the material whenever you want throughout the week. That said, I understand that some people may get sick when they don't expect to get sick and may not be able to turn in an assignment on time. Now, if that's the case, what I would ask you to do is email me at least 24 hours in advance of the deadline for that particular assignment, and chances are I can grant you an extension so long as it doesn't become like a regular thing. Now, if you do ask me for an extension, what I would like for you to do in that same email is tell me how long you need the extension for. Usually I'll grant an extension for 1 week, meaning that the following week you'll have 2 assignments due rather than 1, since I usually grade your stuff only 1 time a week. Now, finally, there's this section on academic dishonesty, and that's basically about plagiarism, which is a pretty common issue in any writing class, especially online writing classes. I assume that you all have an idea of what plagiarism is, but that's just taking someone else's work and passing it off as your own. So if you went out and looked up an article on whatever film you wanted to write about, and then you copied that stuff and pasted it into your blog and passed it off as your own, that's a problem for sure. If you use just a section of that stuff and you intended to quote it or analyze it or cite it, and you did not do any of those things, that would also be plagiarism. Even just a sentence or two copied from a different website or rephrased from a different website will get you the same thing. Now, there is the issue of ChatGPT and large language models. They can write an entire blog post for you from scratch. You say, I want a blog post about documentary films with these guidelines, and it'll just kind of give that to you. Now, we do have a couple of tools here at SWIC that will tell us whether or not there is AI writing present and how confident it is in how much writing is generated by AI. And if we find that you've reached a certain threshold, we'll send you out an email that says like your writing was flagged for AI, and then you have the opportunity to discuss with us via a Teams meeting. So for me, if you would like to, in my class only, use something like ChatGPT or another LLM to correct some of your writing, essentially using it as like a free Grammarly, you write the entirety of your blog post, and then you ask ChatGPT to look for grammatical errors or factual inaccuracies. That is okay with me. Even if you have it like reword a couple of your sentences, that shouldn't flag you for writing that is beyond the threshold of what we're looking for with AI. I am not the same as all of your other professors, so if you do that same sort of thing in an English class and they flag you for AI, they can potentially fail you for the course for it. But in my class alone, I would say that that's an ethical usage of AI for your writing. If you plagiarize, the result will be an F for the course, even if you do this prior to the withdrawal date. So please don't do that. If you end up in a bind where you can't quite get the assignment done on time, you can always reach out for an extension. And if you're past the time where you can actually do that, worst case scenario, take a 0 on one assignment rather than take an F for the entire course. So that's it. That is the syllabus for us. Just showing you a couple of other things inside Brightspace. If you're looking for discussions and you can't find it, that's under course tools. We can find discussions here. There's nothing published just yet, but as I create these things, you'll find them populated here. You can just respond directly to the discussion there. And you should see a couple of extra videos under content that will walk you through creating your first blog, as well as our first assignment. And our first assignment video will also include what the homework is for you. So do check in every week. Check for the announcement that will give you a brief overview of what's going on, and then watch the videos, the lesson video, and then complete the coursework, and you should do just fine in the course. Good luck this semester, and I look forward to reading your work.